We are, we've been meeting with a lot of real innovative teams in and around cards and the user experiences, the wedge that they play within the role of modern financial services. So Arculus has been a great sponsor for the show. So we're like, let's just go out there and have a card carnival day with them. Tell us. Thank you first off for showing up. I know I was pinging you late last night. I'm like, hey, we'd love to have Ether.fi because Ether.fi has been such a big part of the on-chain card space. Give us a quick intro into what you're building, the history of this stuff, and the role that Ether.fi plays in this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us, and appreciate you taking the time. So basically, at Ether.fi, we're trying to build a crypto native neobank, and so a place where you can save, invest, and spend your money. So think about any bank you're currently at and the activities you take there. We want users to be able to do that on chain in a non-custodial fashion. So there's obviously been this neobank movement has been very fast, and there's a lot of great people who are kind of going after it. Revolut, Robinhood's very much getting into it. Coinbase, Nubank, Chime, they just go down the list, right? It's very clear that neobanks is kind of the future. It's very clear to me they're going to win. It's like the new way to do finance, and so what we're trying to do is just do that in a non-custodial fashion, let people benefit from the um, the amazing technology of crypto. I think when you look at it, the cards in and of themselves are not that interesting, I don't think. What is interesting is when you pull the whole product suite together. So it sounds like we'll talk about the borrows and we'll talk about different products you can borrow against. We're going to add a lot more products to this year for users. So yeah, ultimately, I think this is actually a really good time for consumers. They're the ones who are going to win here
Mm.
because neobanks are going to spend a lot of money to try and acquire new customers. And so, I kind of think there'll be a changing of the guard over the upcoming
Yeah.
months, years here.
How have you guys approached growth up until this point? I know you can't do everything on day one, and it
Yeah.
sounds like there are some really key programs that you now have, more you want to come out with in the future. What's sort of the blueprint of how you get something like Ether.fi off the ground? What are those core pillars you start with?
Yeah, great question. So I think a regional approach is super important. One of the
Yeah,
hard
it's
things is
good.
that, yeah, right. Like the world is our market. And it's one of the beautiful things of crypto, right? We don't have to go through the regulations of every country that we go into. Now we make sure that we're following by the rules. There's some more stuff we have to do with Visa, to stay in regulatory compliance. So we're above board when we go through all those things, but the lift isn't as high as it would be if you were a normal bank. Right. And so it's super important that we do not take custody of the assets. That's like a huge advantage for us. It lets us move
Yep.
fast. So being local is important, right? So for instance, Brazil has grown a lot for us. Being in native Portuguese language, they use a payment system called Pix. So having Pix integrations to get your fiat, your BRL onto your account, that is super important. Having an Android app, right? Because most people in Brazil have Android, they don't have Apple. It's these like little things that are very specific to a region that you need to start to dive into. So, um, and we actually haven't done any paid marketing yet. So all of our marketing has just been kind of through Twitter, and it's been earned. We had that our staking product grew a lot, right? And so we had a couple 100,000 wallets that joined for our staking product. So we already had good distribution. We were coming into it, selling to our existing customers, and now the big challenge is how do you cross the chasm into normies?
Yeah.
And so I think that this is the biggest challenge that faces crypto and has to happen or crypto will not win.
So regional approach. What region did you specifically choose? How did you think through that? That's been a theme actually throughout this entire show is like how different, specifically, I'm going back to our first conversation with Liz from MetaMask on how she's
Yeah.
thinking about that. Brazil was an area that was kind of native to her and personal to her. We talked a lot about that. What does that look like for you guys as you were kind of building the foundation, and why, how are you thinking about what regions made the most sense?
Really good questions. We just put the card out there to our users and saw where it picked up. And Brazil was just one of them that it picked up. I just think that the use case of crypto is super strong in Brazil. People don't trust their banks. You have a currency that's getting like hyperinflated, so people want to get into US dollars, which stable coins obviously allows. So those two things just make it like a really killer product for Brazil. But it's also a really competitive market, right? Liz talks about MetaMask going there. Red.pay is growing a lot there. Cash is growing a lot there. Nubank is growing a lot there, right? So there's a ton of
Yeah.
people there, but it's just because Brazil is kind of the banking system has ruined their trust with citizens, and so that's why it
Mm,
is a good opportunity. And I think that's why a lot of people are going there.
yeah. I mean, you guys seem to be like in this current moment, right place, right time, strong momentum. When did this, you co-founded this business, you're driving this forward. When did this become a super deeply felt conviction for you to go build? Has this been like a 5, 10 plus year journey? Are you kind of like, oh, we didn't realize we were in this business and now we are? Like, well, that's kind of
Yeah.
how we're at. Well, that's our story right now. What has that been like for you?
So it's been an interesting journey. So the Mike and it was January of 23 that we raised our first funding, so 3.5 years ago. But uh, we come from the Web 2 world. In software, it's very common to vertically integrate. So you get a user in, you stack products on top of them and get them using more and more products. And so we knew that we were going to do that. And so uh, staking was going well, and then we added the liquid vaults quickly, and it became really clear that you needed this card to come out, and the things were converging to make this a reality. So I think we were a step ahead of a lot of people on that. There's been like a lot of big launches of protocols. It's a lot of hype, but like it's really hard to execute on a product, like a multifaceted product like this. And so, but I just think we have a really good integrated experience, and we focus on user experience, right? Like, and that comes from Web 2. Uh, because Web 2 is competitive, right? It's super competitive. Web 3, like our UX is still awful. And so like we really need to work on the user experience and make it better. So we focus on it, we make it a priority. It still can get a lot better, but we'll always put the user first. If you create a great product that users love, it's going to kind of help take care of itself, especially with the distribution that we already have. So now it just becomes like a distribution game. Like how much distribution can we get?
Where did the muscle get built for you in the Web 2 world to kind of, you've been in the gym metaphorically with like kind of, it sounds like competing in this way up the stack. Like where did that muscle get built for you?
I've been in startups since 2008. Some that have failed, some that have done great. Mike found a company out of undergrad, and I ran his sales team for 7 years, from 2012 to 2019, a higher education company. And so really that's where it worked. Like we took revenue from 1 million to 30 over those years. And that's really hard to do in higher education.
Yeah.
So Mike and I
Who are
just
you
have like
selling to?
sorry,
Who are you selling to in that business?
investors. It was awful. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, so Mike and I, like, we have a high level of trust together, so it's
Yeah.
like we didn't have to, like, go through that journey again, right? We'd already been through some trying times and, back against the wall type of things where you kinda learn people's true colors, and so, I think that gave us a head start, Mike and I as well, just, like, knowing each other, having worked together, and we've put together just an amazing team. Like, we're only 43 people, so we're super small, but everyone is just so impactful. I feel very fortunate we've been able to hire such a good team.
Yeah. I think that speak about muscle building, like being in those situations with people where it's like at the end of the day, do I actually trust you? Are you gonna be who I thought? Are you gonna be the kind of person who I think you are in
Yeah.
this moment when you may not have to be? And it may even be better for yourself if you were like selfish or whatever that situation was. Is there anything worth sharing specifically on any of those situations that like maybe speak to Mike's character or like what you guys went through? Because I think
Yeah.
when we think about defensibility and building to the next level of taking a business like Ether.fi, competing, getting bigger, like it is those things, like those things that no one will ever know that like actually make the co-founder relationship really strong. What any like moments come to mind or stories there?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that, like, Mike has a very good product mind, and he can see where is very good at seeing where the puck is going and what the users need. And I can kinda take that and position it for what the market needs to hear or see, right? So it's like this kinda thing that we've just kinda, like, worked on, and it's come from that. And I mean, Mike is a fantastic CEO and a fantastic leader, but he's very demanding. And so a lot of people can't deal with that level of expectation and drive.
Like
Um,
intense
yeah.
intensity.
It can it can be too much. And I always tell people, I'm like, Mike is rarely wrong. Like he usually has the right idea. He might just have like an unreasonable timeline. And so like I came to understand that, right? Like that in performing some of these things where he had these crazy timelines that they actually could get done. And so I think that was the biggest thing, like, just going through that at Top Hat a couple times. It happens, a couple times a year, honestly, where you just get to these things and it's these like make or break moments for the year. And, you're on a ticking time clock. So
Mm,
having gone through those before, it's like, we don't spend time arguing about, okay, is this the right decision or not? I generally just trust him on the product side. And then like, we just go make it a reality. I think
yeah.
that helps kind of like push things forward.
So where is the puck moving now in his mind? Like in your kind of moment of scaling Ether.fi, what's
Yeah.
next? What's going to keep you guys on this curve of growth?
Localization and distribution. I think those are the two biggest things. So, working on the distribution through different channels, marketing, et cetera, and then getting local banking relationships, local marketing, boots on the ground type of thing. So I think those are the biggest things.
Are you specifically in a lot of how you're spending your time forming those relationships with those local partners? Is that how, like, where are you spending your time in this mostly right now? Like, where is the problem set difficult enough where you're focusing on? Where is that
I spent
typically?
quite a time there. I spent a lot on distribution of our stake products. It's still our largest revenue driver, and we're working on a program where I think it'll be a really good channel opportunity where people will get. It'll be like an affiliate program where people can have be a profitable and lucrative channel for themselves with the Ether.fi products, and having those all integrated into one like affiliate program. So those are the main places that I'm spending my time currently, and then figuring out how we get more institutional, right? So like the crypto sphere of capital is small.
Yeah.
How do you get to that next phase and kind of get out? So that's what we're really working on.
The staking product you've mentioned a couple times, this seems to be a really core like revenue driver focus part of the history. Is that mostly non-institutions today who are attributable for the staking revenue? Mostly retail?
It depends. Like SharpLink, SBET, they stake a lot of ETH with us. So like we do have institutional players too. There's just not a lot of institutional players in crypto. But yeah, large crypto whales, retail, etc. They're all in the product. So we have over 100,000 wallets in the product. We've actually done a really good job retaining the people in the
Hmm.
staking product because like a lot of people just lose, the TVL after they have their airdrop and stuff.
Yeah. Stickiness and retention seems like a big
Mm,
one in terms of like keeping people around. That's probably the kind of the elephant in the room in many ways with a lot of these programs. Like, are you in it for the right reasons? Are you
yeah.
here for the money and then you're going to bounce? Like, how are you thinking about retention in that way? Because I think this whole class of innovators, they're dealing with this problem right now. It's like
Yeah.
you want to bring incentives, but you also don't want to bring people who are just there for the incentives because then they're just going to leave you for the next person who's willing to like burn faster.
Totally. So we've done a really good job of actually not like emitting a ton of tokens to people do this, right? And they get in this like unsustainable, just on this like infinite loop of emitting tokens. So we've actually stopped token emissions almost
Hmm.
completely, which has been huge. I think the biggest thing is giving people products that they want to use, right? So if you get into our products, it's not just the card that's unique. The card is very easy to move from. It's a pain in the ass, but it's easy to move from. If you have the card, you're borrowing against products, you're making money on those products. This is how you're onboarding and offboarding to your local bank. Like, all right, that's a lot of stuff. So now to figure out all those things to move from, it becomes a lot more challenging. And those things just take time. Like, you can't just snap your fingers and have a banking relationship. It's just not a reality, right? Like, it is super expensive to acquire customers just on the card side. So we don't look to acquire just on the card side. It's getting them into the stake product, getting them into the liquid product, so we can make this a ROI positive thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I actually think it's gonna be great for consumers because like go look at Robinhood, right? Robinhood's thrown out 3% cash back on your retirement accounts.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's wild.
And on your card, right? So it's like it's an insane amount of cash back that they're giving, but it's a race to acquire customers right now. That's why it's just going to be a really good time for consumers. And like we do 3% cash back. So it's like we have really good rewards. Like people are very happy with our rewards and we tend to have really good retention, but it's because of the other products. It's not just the card. If you just did the card, I think you're kind of dead in the water.
Yeah. Where does the majority of that cost happen on the card side? You mentioned that that's
Cash
like a
back.
very cost.
Cash back. Yeah. If we just did cash back, we'd lose money. But it's because we have the other products that we're able to do that. And so if people are going to try and compete with us on cash back, they better have other products they make money on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna be a place to compete. So
Yeah. Last couple questions here. I know we're at top of
yeah,
the hour. I was pinging Joey last night from Nook, who's been friend of the show, friend off the show. And
nice.
something we were talking to Joey about last week was the evolution of Nook specifically on like going from ultra simple of like, we're not going to explain anything. This is super easy. Like
Yep.
I'm sure you've seen their product like to now like actually explanation, detail, depth, the nuances of like where the yield's coming from, education. That's like actually now a very, very core focus. I wouldn't call it a pivot, but just like a really big aha moment for them as they build. Have you guys had anything similar or like maybe feeling similar of like the V1 or V2 of Ether.fi that maybe people know is not going to look like the V3, V4 of Ether.fi tomorrow? Like anything that we could expect that feels kind of aha right
Yeah,
now?
I think we're too crypto native still, right? Like if you step into our product and you use it, like you have to be crypto native a bit. There's some DeFi stuff, some crypto stuff, connecting your
The
wallet.
brand feels very crypto native, like even
Yeah,
the name of it.
Ether in it, right? Yeah, so it is very crypto native. To cross the chasm, we're gonna have to work on that, and so it won't look the same. But again, like I think Robinhood's doing a really good job. Like I don't know if you use Robinhood, but you
Yep.
get your stocks there.
All my retirement's with Robinhood.
There you
I
go.
bit the bullet. I'm a good example of biting the bullet on the like, hey, come here, we'll like the whole match that they did was insane. I was like, okay, I'll
Insane.
leave my shitty brokerage that I don't care about anyway to
Totally.
go there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and that'll go away at some point, right? Anyway, I think that was probably like the biggest thing is like, how do you get more consumer friendly and like,
Does
yeah,
that mean rebrand? Does that mean like child
I don't
child
know
brands that you
because
guys
like
might
it's
incubate?
no, I think we'll probably the name is good, the name is catchy. I think it's education, honestly, the education of the benefits of crypto, self custody.
Yeah.
Gonna work on that.
Cool. Well, would love to help you guys on that. We're definitely in the business of doing that. So let's stay in touch if it makes sense to get more serious. It's actually something we're talking to Nook about is how
Cool.
can we bring more life into that sort of thing. So I
Jay,
know
he's
this was
great.
short and sweet, but
What they're doing is pretty cool. So I'm a big fan of what they're doing over there.
they definitely know how to build beautiful products.
Great.
Specifically him.
Crypto
I think
needs it.
he's yeah, man. Well, thank you for joining us. I know this was last minute and we'll do this again. Really appreciate your time.
Sounds good. Yeah, and if anyone wants, just go to Ether.fi and you can get a card for free. Very easy. So,
Love it. Ether.fi.
all
Join the
right,
club.
there it is. Thank you,
Cool,
sir.
man. Thanks for joining.